they join us. The first thing that I wanted to ask was, does anybody have any questions on the minutes of the last meeting that were sent out with the agenda? Can I ask a really honest question? And that is, does anybody read the minutes, even if you're not attending? Because I'm conscious that I used to do the minutes and it takes ages, and now Mahmuda does them. And it will take her ages as well. There's no quick fix for writing 1,200 words after a Zoom call. Does anybody read them? Is it worth doing? Jonathan?
It's the kind of thing that I reference back to if there's something that I vaguely remember and want to refer back to or clarify, but I think the most valuable thing that is shared from these meetings are the presentations that are given. Okay, thank you. Tom?
If I hadn't attended, I would skim it. Yeah, I wouldn't. I doubt I'd read every word, but I would definitely look at them to see what I'd missed.
One of the things that I do is that we record them, and they're uploaded to the CCIN video page, YouTube page. I wonder whether circulating that, which doesn't take a long time, so if you've missed it, you can skim the whole meeting, would be a better use of Mahmuda's time, because it doesn't look, nobody said that they went through the minutes of the last meeting. I haven't done a cross check, but I don't think everybody on this call was at the last meeting. And I'm wondering whether to recommend that to Jonathan. So as long as you've got the link that has the recording, and when you go to the YouTube page, because we don't publish these minutes, they're very different to any of the governance minutes which appear on the website. The minutes of this meeting is more of a safe space for officers to share what they're doing. We don't circulate them to any members at all. So I just want to get your views on that. Everybody happy? I can see Simon is nodding. Laura's got a hand up.
Yeah, I think someone's just popped the same suggestion in the chat. I was just wondering whether the middle ground might be capturing any action points that were agreed.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah. I think Mahmuda will be absolutely delighted that we've had this chat when she sent the recording. So thank you very much for your ideas. We can always review it in a few months. Because we don't publish the minutes on the website, as I said, it's that they only go to us, and I've got this sneaky suspicion we either delete them or we save them and we've never opened them again. So we will always keep the recordings, so they're absolutely safe. So thank you for that. Anybody who did read the minutes, is there anything that you wanted to raise following the last meeting? No? Okay. So annual conference, so that is coming up very quickly. We've had 200 bookings so far on Eventbrite, so that they're divided between the I'm talking and sharing my screen at the same time. They're divided between the tour on the first day. Just make sure I can see that. Okay. So the tour on the first day, the evening reception, and the actual AGM and conference. So if you haven't booked already, I'll stick this link in the chat. The deadline for the reduced rate of hotels finished at the end of September. You might still be able to get the same rate, which was £75 per person per night, but the Holiday Inn did say end of September, so you will have had mailings, newsletters on that from me over the last few months. I've been through this page lots of different times, but for those of you that haven't been on a recent meeting, so we've got a governance meeting in the morning, a meet and greet at City Hall, followed by a walk of the Heritage Quarter and a visit to a couple of cooperatives. There's then a coach visit to Hilton Castle, back to the hotel, and then an evening of food, drink, entertainment with local bands at a venue called the Fire Station, and then either return to hotels or carry on networking in a local pub. On the Thursday in the morning, we've got the review of the year. Thanks to everybody who's agreed to participate in the strategy and action plan, and I'll come on to that as well in any other business. We'll launch our funding round for 2024. I will put a link to that page in the chat so that you can see the where you need to look. So we've got an executive oversight committee meeting tomorrow. We'll agree the budget that we're going to allocate for policy labs and prototypes for 2024. That I'll mail everybody out after the AGM on the 2nd of November. But it's now time to think about those sort of items. It's also on the agenda as item 4 today. The plenary session in the morning is supporting children and young people the cooperative way. Those of you joining the call early, I've had June O'Sullivan, who had done some work with Hackney. She sent her apologies this morning, but she'd led on the work that Hackney had been doing. So I'm still actively looking for really good speakers on children and young people's services. So if you've got anybody that you think might be appropriate, I've dropped a line to Louise Gittins, who's our chair, but she's also chair of the LGA Children and Young People's Board, to see if she's come across any particular councils that are doing some good work in this area. But it would be really nice to draw a line under the actual programme so that I can carry on promoting it. Also, if you've got a really good youth mayor, doesn't have to be a man, but you can see it's very female orientated, this panel at the moment. If you've got a good speaker that could, maybe you've got a youth mayor that's been in corporate care over during their young years and has really come out and it is really shines. I know that I've seen Oldham have got a really good youth mayor that's spoken at events in the past, but if I could just leave that one with you, but as soon as possible. I'm off to the Labour Party conference on Thursday evening and won't be back for a week, so I'd really like to get this programme sorted as soon as possible. The second plenary is to launch our policy labs. Oldham have got a couple there: cooperative approaches to sustainable food and tackling barriers to developing the co-op economy. So I'm waiting for names from them as to who's going to do that. Arts and culture for social cohesion, that was led by North Herts, waiting for the name there. And Helen Chico, as ever, right on it, and she'll be doing the Democratising Policy Solutions report from Rochdale. Does anybody have any questions about the plenaries or the AGM, or something that you think could beef those up a bit? If you want to raise your hand, because I can only see 6 people on my shared screen. Okay, we've got, oh, Fiona.
Sorry, hi, a bit late. I couldn't find the button. I was frantically looking for it. I was just wondering, and this might be too late for this year, but I was just thinking actually it would be really good to have an in-person Officer Network meeting.
It's not too late. It is
Oh, right,
not.
okay,
It is
there we
not
go.
too
I
late.
just, I don't know
Um,
what other people think, but I just thought, actually, you know what, we meet once a month on Zoom, and I think it'd be a really good thing to do as part of the AGM every year, actually, that we were able to get together in person.
that sounds a really good idea. So I mean, obviously, if people are there, then. But do we want to do something maybe on the 1st? At one of the, maybe the social event or something. I mean, do you want it formal or informal? I suppose that's the question.
Yeah, I hadn't given it much thought, to be honest. I suppose
I think it's a really good idea. And the nice thing about having, when we've got in-person conferences, the nice thing about having the day before and having that more social element to it means that it does lend itself to that. But if there's anything that you can think of specifically, but I think that's a great idea. We've got the on the 1st of November, we'll have our exec oversight committee. If you've got a member that goes to that, if your council's represented on the exec oversight committee, you're likely to be in the room or around during that time. I know that that applies to Fiona, as Peter Bradbury's on the exec oversight committee. But yeah, I'm really happy. Anything that, and if anybody wants to lead on anything, I'm all for sharing the workload at the moment. Thanks, Fiona. Has anybody else and anybody else that can see anybody? Hi, Simon.
It was just on the children's one. I know how I had to think about it, but I wonder whether you'd approached Manchester. I know they've recently joined, haven't they? But they did quite a good thing in last year about the Year of the Child, and then they won Council of the Year, I think, partly because of that. So
that's a brilliant idea. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll have a look and see who their cabinet lead is.
no worries.
I'll invite the leader.
Yeah.
Maura?
Forgive me if this is a really obvious question. This is the first time that I've kind of been involved in CCIN. When you're talking about the launch of the policy funding for 2024, are those the pots of money that member organisations can bid into?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Is there, when you send out the mailing list, will there be details of the process and how that all works for those of us who aren't as familiar with it?
Yes, and I'll when we come on to item 4, I'll show you where it is on the website, so that you're there's no ambiguity or anything. So I'll share my screen for that as well.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
That's all right, Jonathan.
On the supporting children and young people plenary, I've just been thinking about how in the financial situation that councils are facing at the moment, there are essentially 2 factors. One's inflation, and that's affecting all councils, and then there is a particular issue around increase of demand for children's services and adult social care. So I just wondered whether there might be something worth playing in to prod there of, well, actually, what's the role of the cooperative way in reducing that pressure? Because I think that's a really key USP of the network. And if we can relate the cooperative approach to actually tackling the financial pressures, then that's really key, and potentially gives us significant opportunity for influence nationally.
Thanks, Jonathan. You haven't got a good speaker, have you? You haven't got an amazing cabinet member on children and young people. I am going to try Manchester first, because
the way you framed that has made it very difficult for me to say no.
No. I was talking to somebody earlier and they just went, let's not have that conversation. And I got it. Okay, right, so the just going on to the workshops, there's a lot of I haven't said no to many, said no to a few, but this particular venue, the in Sunderland, has got a lot of rooms, so we've got the opportunity to have more workshops. Obviously, for these to work, we also need to make sure that we've got bums on seats, people through the door, so we also need to be promoting registration as well. So in terms of the morning session, a cooperative council's manifesto for the general election, cooperative approach to developing an alliance with the voluntary sector in Sunderland to support community resilience, social value toolkit for councils, public service mutuals as their time come again, building community spaces and collaborative digital products in the public sector. Then in the afternoon session, a regional community bank for the North East, cooperative approach to reducing the digital divide, reducing the cost of burden for councils via early intervention through home share, councils keeping it local, the role of AI in building stronger communities, and embedding genuine cooperative best practice across councils and communities. Tongue twister there from Jonathan Nunn on the last one. So there's a really wide range of options available this year. Hopefully that will also encourage councils to bring along several colleagues. Does anybody have any questions on the workshops? My aim is to, I've written, I was in Bournemouth for the Lib Dem Party conference week ago, but I've written out to all of the leads for these to confirm that the people that I think are the leads, to confirm that they're happy to lead them before I do another mailing, which I want to try and get out before going to Liverpool on Thursday night. But has anybody got any questions on these? Anything, anything you need to know? Anything appeal to you? You'd like to speak to any of the organisers to promote your council as well? Okay. Okay. So no questions on that. So I'm just going to, I said I'd put a couple of things in the chat. The first one is a link to the page I'm now going to share so that you can see what, after the EOC meeting tomorrow, where you'll find the details of, well, between then and the actual launch of it at the annual conference, where you'll find more information on the policy labs. And then the other one is the link to booking for Sunderland. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So the first one will take you to this page, and I'll update the information that's in here, so it relates to 2024. Once we know how much has been allocated to policy labs and prototypes, and then sometime between tomorrow's meeting and the 2nd of November or 1st of November, I'll update the timetable. So we'll launch it at the annual conference on the 2nd of November. We'll then have a closing date for submissions, which will be sometime in February. So there's quite a long time, you can see. So you've got all of November, all of December, all of January and all of February to talk to each other, to put a bid together. And that bid will be to use, if on this side of the screen, to submit an application to deliver a policy lab, or to declare an interest in a new policy lab. So as you come up with ideas, it's not me, it's not Jonathan, we'll add them to the spreadsheet, and I'll show you where that is. So you can submit an application for a policy lab, so that's where you need to work with other councils, or you can submit an application to deliver a policy prototype, and that's where you do it. You do it yourself. So there's a guide on here, so I'll update this presentation, which you'll see on the 2nd of November, but it'll practically be the same presentation. And then if I go to the top of this page, hopefully if I click this, you'll still be able to share my screen. Yes. So can you see all of the can you see my screen? So at the top, in the top corner, it's got please add your contact details. Yeah, thanks, Fiona. See you nodding head. So in this column A, it is when we come to launch it, all members, full council members, associate members, affiliate members will all appear in this list. And what the idea is that you come up with projects that you would like to work with other members. So last year we agreed the study visit to Emilia-Romagna, we agreed the social value toolkit, we agreed the reducing violence against women and girls, we funded co-op option training. I haven't taken off yet these ones, which were ideas. So I can see, as Fiona's on my screen, Fiona was interested in amplifying prevention in public health, increasing immunisation and screening uptake. So I think that was a bid that was put in last year, and there would be some feedback that had been given. And obviously Fiona would love to work, well, she might not like to work with any of you, but I imagine she'd like to work with some of you on beefing up this application, putting a new application in. There's one here, exploring environmental sustainability impact assessments and engagement plans. So that was Laura from South Tyneside had suggested that one. Supporting community projects to become cooperatives, that was one that Newham had put forward. So you get the general idea. So I'm not going to take these ones off. I'll update the numbers. You can see that I've taken quite a few off because they related to projects previously. So I'll update the numbers. I'll take off the ones that we've already agreed to fund. So you've got a starter there. So that will be number 1, 2, 3 and 4. But if you've got an idea, you can access this, so it's live. You put your idea on here, and then next to your council's name you write lead if you want to lead on it, because if it's your idea you probably do want to lead on it. Or you might say, I've got a great idea, just I don't want to lead on something, but hopefully somebody else will want to lead, and then they will put participate. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because Laura asked the question, and then I'm going to ask Laura, does that make sense?
It does, thank you. Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Okay, so you've got the link in the chat. I've told you what the process is. You've seen we've got weeks and weeks to get this right. So you've got ideas that you want to work with other councils. This is the opportunity to put forward your ideas, speak to other members, so that you can get a groundswell of other councils that are interested in supporting the idea. There are challenges facing, it needs to be a challenge that's facing cooperative councils. The smaller projects are ones that are just in a particular locality. So I'm also going to put we funded all of the smaller projects that we had in 2023. So we had £15,000 and I think we spent 12 of it this year. The link I've just put in is current projects. And I'm also going to put a link in of published projects. So we've probably funded 40 projects now. So I'm really happy to have to share the spreadsheet of all the ones that we funded. But the 2 links that I've just popped in there, they're the current projects, so the ones that we haven't launched yet. Some of those will be launching in Sunderland. And then the other ones are the published projects, so those that we've done in the past. So we're keen on doing things that we've not funded before, or taking a project that we have funded before and taking it one step further. So somebody might have done a policy prototype in an area. Simon Grove White from Oxford, they did something around social value, and then they took that learning, worked with another 6 or 7 councils, and that work's still going on to develop a social value toolkit. So you could take a prototype that's been done previously, or you could take something that's totally different. And you'll see from those the links that I've sent you, you can you can search according to whether they're a policy lab or a prototype. You can search whether how long ago they were done, when the bid was put in, and you can also search on which councils have participated in them. So if you're quite new to a council, it's often nice to have a look and see where your council's been working on a project in the past. It's also useful to, with our principles, to see what sort of principles we are promoting. So you can see this is the backdrop from my Lib Dem conference stand. So I'm just moving to one side, and you can see the principles on the back there. So I'm not really at an exhibition today. One of the very few weeks that I'm not at an exhibition at the moment. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on the policy labs and prototype launches? As I said, this is when Mahmuda comes to you and says, has anybody got any items for the agenda? We've had presentations from members in the past who said they just want to test the water on something, and then it gives you the opportunity to work with another council to put that bid together. Okay. Any more? No. Okay, gosh, we're whizzing through this, aren't we? You're going to have 3/4 of an hour back of your lives that you didn't know you were going to have. So we're on to item 5, invoicing for membership 2023-24. Mahmuda is on the call. Don't know if she wants to.
Yeah, hi.
Ah, brilliant. Hi, go on, Mahmuda. You can,
so we're starting invoicing for 2023 and 24 very soon. I'll be sending around emails to all members. This time round, we're changing things up a little bit. Where you'll be sending a performer sheet out asking for you to fill out with your council's detail, and we're giving full members around 6 weeks to return back to us with a PO number. As soon as we receive PO numbers, we'll be raising invoices. But this time we're asking members to send us email addresses of your finance team, so we can send the invoice directly to your finance team. In previous years, we've sent it around to members and it hasn't been paid straight away, unfortunately. So I'll be sending around emails sometime this week.
Thanks, Mahmuda. Has anybody got any questions on that? No, brilliant. Thanks, Mahmuda. Okay, well, we're on to any other business. Oh, thanks, Morgan. The social mobility. Oh, okay. Okay. If you pop that on now, I won't delete it if you stick it at the end.
I've just started adding it in as we speak. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Okay, fabulous. Okay, does anybody have any items of any other business? You can't all be shy. Just because Jonathan's not here, it can't just be me that speaks when Jonathan's here. Oh, thanks, Laura.
Sorry, it's me. I feel like I'm talking a lot in the meeting. It was just a random. It was just a random thought I had when you were talking about any AOBs, Nicola. It was when you mentioned that you're going to conference over the next couple of weeks. It was just whether there's anything that it might be useful for this network to be aware of, whether you could provide an update. You might do that already, but because it's my first kind of year of doing CCIN, I'm not sure if that is something that you do, but I know I'd find that quite helpful. Yeah,
happy to tell you what fun I had in Bournemouth with the Lib Dem Party conference. It's one of the nicest political conferences that I do. The Lib Dems are always very, very, very supportive. They have cooperatives as part of their constitution. So when I'm talking to them about cooperative placemaking and community wealth building, they get it, which is really nice to be able to talk to people and encourage them to join. So I'm talking to them, and that's the background that you can see behind me. So I'm talking to them about our values and principles, what we talk about in terms of fair tax, modern slavery charter. So that board that the one that is on my my right, your left maybe. It's got the little dots behind it. So when I come to you and I say, can you tell me whether you've got whether you pay fair tax, whether you've signed the modern slavery charter, then I put those on there, and that's a really brilliant conversation starter when we're talking to local authorities, particularly leaders. Like, they'll come up and they'll say, well, we've signed the modern slavery charter, and I go, I'm really sorry, but you haven't. And get them in touch with the organisations that manage and monitor that. So that I spent I think that was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning. So that was quite a long conference. Labour Party one, you set up on Friday. Saturday is a clean site, so that's when all the security comes in, because you can guess if there's lots of shadow ministers. So I'll be meeting many of your leaders, cabinet members in Liverpool from next weekend. I think I'm back Wednesday evening. I break my journey because, as you know, I live in Devon, so it's 6 hours on the road, and like you do, Laura, rather than put my life at risk, I normally break my journey on the way home. So yeah, it's fun because people want, that's where you get the interest and members wanting to sign up. Morgan, I think you had your hand up and then you took it down again.
So I just got thrown out of the meeting actually, but I'm back, I think. Yeah, just a bit of a plug for that Policy Lab idea, if I can have a couple of minutes.
Of course you can.
So basically just, there's been a new social mobility index published recently, and we don't look bad on it, but on the previous index, we were a cold spot for youth social mobility. It's information no longer being published at authority level. So if you look at Cheshire rather than Cheshire West, it's no longer an issue, but fundamentally, I think we do still have an issue around youth social mobility. We're interested in exploring that, and I think I'd like to have a chat to a few people if you're interested in how we might take that forward. Our very, very initial proposal would be something about working with groups of young people in different areas to kind of look at the index, to look at potential recommendations, approaches. And what I'd really like to do is have a kind of a group of young people from Cheshire West meet with a group of young people from some other areas with potentially lead members, and almost have the young people present to lead members from all the relevant areas on what their proposals would be, what they'd like to see done, and then we can write a report out of that, but it very much being led by young people. So anyone interested, that or a slightly different approach, give me a bell, drop me an email, and I'll come to a future meeting, hopefully with a bit of a more finessed idea. Ta.
Thanks, Morgan. Paula's popped a note in saying that it's her first meeting today. Welcome, Paula. you're still trying to determine what your role is. So am I trying to determine what my role is, I tell you.
It's one of the joys of being asked to come along and represent the chief and the leader of the council, and can you just turn up? So I'm just trying to determine whether I can be useful or whether I'm the right person.
That's okay. We've been joined by David from Manchester City Council, and you've popped a little note in there. Thank you very much. I'm looking for a speaker for the annual conference on children and young people, and wondered, someone mentioned that you'd won the LGA Council of the Year award, particularly around some of the work that you've done in that area. And I wondered whether maybe you've got somebody that you could put forward as being one of the speakers in our plenary, a cabinet member. So I put you on the spot here.
No, that's fine. And hi, great to meet you all. I think we're like Warrington, so we just joined up. Really pleased that we've joined. I think I'm kind of representing as head of city policy, but really understand I need to involve other people. I can see Simon on the call, so I might be tapping you up, Simon, for a bit of a chat if you're a long-standing member. But yeah, and I think what we actually won Council of the Year in 2022, but I think the award is probably the MJ Awards this year. So we put in for our Year of the Child work, so it was our year. Yeah. So last year we kind of dedicated a whole year to young people, and it was a kind of response to the pandemic. It's now, the legacy of that has now moved into becoming a UNICEF child-friendly city. So we've got a really passionate executive member who we could potentially bring in on this agenda. So yeah, if you want to follow that up afterwards, it's Councillor Gary Bridges. It's Gary with 2 R's, but we can pick that up separately, Nicola. And
that would be amazing.
And I'm sure he would be delighted to speak about that agenda and what we've been doing.
Thank you. I will drop you a note after this call.
Yeah, definitely. And it links into some of the other work we're doing, because obviously priority cohorts and things around like our social value policy. There's loads of other areas that in terms of young people. So yeah, definitely happy to do that.
Brilliant. Thank you. Has anybody got any other items of any other business? Okay, I've got one. So we're in the midst of putting together our 2024-26 strategy and action plan. So we've done this twice before, so they normally last 3 years. This time we're employing, we've commissioned one of our affiliate members called the Ideas Alliance to do this for us. And we've got 3 parts, or 4 parts that people have been invited to get involved. We've had a series of one-to-ones with, I think there's been 7 of those interviews with people that have just joined the network or people that have been in the network a long time, so trying to get a broad level of experience. There is, just get it on the screen. There's a session, a look back and move forward session that's going to happen on the 13th of October. So those one-to-ones, there's a couple that haven't taken place yet. I think Charlotte from Lewisham and the leader of Sunderland have, I've just added them to the list. So there's a look back and move forward, which is the chairs and the vice chairs of our 2 parts of our governance. So that's the Exec Oversight Committee and the Values and Principles Board. Then we've got an open space, which their words, not mine, I'm learning the language, which is a session taking place in Birmingham on the 17th of October. And that is for all the governance, but also I've identified some members of this group. It's the 17th of October in Birmingham. I've got several available places on that. If you would like to participate in the things that maybe you want to find out more and the future direction of the network, you want to have a say in that. I think some of you might, like Paul has just said, I've been asked to attend this meeting, but I'm not really sure what our role is in this. So new people, as well as people that have been around a long time, would be absolutely most welcome. Could you drop me a line so that I can get you invited to that? It's the 17th of October. It's in the Council House in Birmingham, so that's Victoria Square. It will start 10:30. We'll be away by 3:30. So hopefully you'll be able to get there and get back in one day. There's then Jonathan.
No, sorry, not about this. For after.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Then there is a questionnaire that is going to Exec Oversight Committee tomorrow. So bearing in mind the folk from the Ideas Alliance, they've spoken to 6 or 7 people so far about what their views are. They've pulled together a questionnaire to take those views on board, and then we want to send that out to all members. So if you receive the newsletter, you'll get a copy of the questionnaire. There'll be a few weeks to respond to that, so I'll probably send it out and then I'll send a reminder. But if you'd like to maybe meet other folk that you've seen on these calls, or you think we've got a co-op council's lead on our cabinet that I know would be really interested in joining this, could you let me know, and I'll send you the details, and you can come along and meet a few of us that are on this call already. But I've got some free places. I don't want you to miss the opportunity if you think, gosh, I wish they'd asked me. So please do consider it if you can. And then the idea is that the initial responses will be reported back at the AGM on the 2nd of November, and then they'll have there's still an opportunity to participate, but the Ideas Alliance will then need to put that strategy together so that it's ready for us to kick off 2024. Does anyone have any questions before Jonathan raises his item of AOB? No, Jonathan.
I was just thinking about possible things to talk about in these sessions over the next few months. There's one which is about blockchain, which I've had conversations with an affiliate member that the name of which completely
Crystallizer.
Crystallizer, that's the one. Which is a really interesting conversation, which went very rapidly from talking about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to the possible applications of blockchain in local government. And he was asking essentially, what are councils doing about blockchain? What conversations are you having about it? I was like, I've not had any conversations about blockchain in the whole time I've been in local government. So I suspect that most local authorities are just not thinking about it, doing anything about it. So I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had about, well, what are the opportunities and what would be the issues there? Because I think some of the opportunities he talked about, there are some real issues around digital exclusion, but some potential opportunities are well worth getting our heads around. The other thing was, I know, Nicola, you've mentioned that Birmingham are doing a piece of work looking at assets, and I think there are, again, very much linked to the financial context I alluded to earlier, seeing yet another council this week not issuing a Section 114, but saying we're very close to it, which is Windsor and Maidenhead. This is a very real issue, and we're now making decisions about leisure assets, about other assets, and I think having a conversation about what are the opportunities, what are the things we can do, how do you balance the need to balance the books with not decimating our community assets would be a very helpful one. And if we can organise that in such a way that we can bring assets colleagues into the conversation, that'd be really good, and could form a bit of a part of socialising some of the knowledge in this group around things like assets of community value and some of the funding opportunities, so that we can do some good work in that space.
Thanks, Jonathan. And they're two really good ideas. Hopefully I haven't spoken about Crystalliser in any of the newsletters, but the Save Birmingham campaign was in the October newsletter, which I managed to get out on Friday.
I did spot that.
So that, and it's also appeared in Co-op News. So we're not talking about, and that was one of the interesting things that came out of the Lib Dem Party conference. You know, they're looking at community assets. I talked to Hereford, who's not a member of the network yet, but they've got, I think it's parished. They have a county council and they have a lot of parish council. So Hereford City's a parish council, I believe, and they've got a town hall that the county owns, but they don't want it on their books anymore. So they're looking at ways of how do they transfer that to the parish and what work needs to be done to save that. But yeah, I understand that a lot of councils will have assets that you need to decide what you can fund and what you can't fund. So this campaign from Save Birmingham, which has been led by one of our other affiliate members, Co-ops West Midlands. I'm just going to put the link in the chat. Okay, so I think a lot of you are putting asset registers together. Yeah, and there is a link to the Save Birmingham campaign, so I'm going to put that in the chat as well. But yeah, two really great ideas there, Jonathan. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, I'm going to let you all go early, but I'm also going to show you my Cardiff half marathon medal from Sunday, because as a 58-year-old woman, I'm absolutely thrilled to have got this. Fiona wasn't even there this weekend to cheer me on. I was so disappointed. She had a weekend away from Cardiff. What are the friends for?
Yeah, I tried last year. I didn't even see you. I was there last year though, but it's you.
So thanks guys, and thanks for the applause. Right, I'll let you go half an hour early. David, do you mind just hanging on the call and we can just talk, let's try and